In my 40 years on the bench, I've seen people come into my courtroom with every attitude imaginable: fear, regret, confusion, even defiance. But this one stayed with me because of how quickly arrogance can turn into humility when reality sets in. This wasn't just about a traffic violation, it was about respect. Respect for the people who serve the public every day, and respect for the system itself. And let me tell you, the moment I heard what this young man said to my court clerk, I knew I had a lesson to teach, not just to him, but to everyone watching. When this case landed on my desk, it seemed routine at first glance. A moving violation, reckless driving, excessive speed, and failure to obey a traffic signal. Nothing unusual for a busy municipal court like mine. The defendant was a young man in his mid-20s, clean record up until this point, no prior criminal history. On paper, it looked like someone who made a mistake behind the wheel, but as I reviewed the file more closely, something caught my attention. There was a written note from my court clerk attached to the case. Now, I've worked with my clerks for many years. They're professional, patient, and deal with hundreds of people every week. It takes a lot for them to file a complaint. The note described the defendant's behavior when he came to the clerk's window to ask about his case. According to her, he was dismissive, rude, and then outright insulting. I remember leaning back in my chair and thinking, this isn't just about driving anymore. Because in my courtroom, how you treat people matters just as much as what you're charged with. And I had a feeling this young man was about to learn that. Here's what happened that day, as I later understood it from the reports and statements. It was a busy morning at the courthouse. People lined up, waiting their turn to speak with the clerks, asking questions, paying fines, trying to understand the process. This young man walked up to the counter already frustrated. According to the clerk, he didn't greet her, didn't wait patiently. He immediately started complaining. "I've been standing here too long," he said. "This system is a joke." Now I understand frustration. People come to court stressed, but there's a way to express that frustration, and then there's crossing a line. The clerk calmly tried to explain his case status. She told him his hearing date, what to expect, and what documents he might need. And that's when things escalated. He leaned forward and said something that, frankly, disappointed me deeply when I read it. "You people sit here all day, doing nothing," he told her. "You're basically useless." I remember reading that line and pausing, because I've worked with these clerks for decades. They are the backbone of the court. They treat people with dignity, even when they're not treated the same way in return. And here was someone, a young man with no prior record, choosing to tear someone down who was simply doing her job. But it didn't stop there. According to her statement, he laughed and added, "I don't even know why you're here. Anyone could do your job better." When I read that, I shook my head. Not out of anger, but out of disappointment. Because I've been doing this long enough to know, when someone shows that kind of disrespect in a small moment, it often reflects something deeper. And I knew that when he stepped into my courtroom, I'd have to address more than just a traffic violation. As I continued reviewing the evidence, I saw that the driving violation itself was clear-cut. The police report indicated he was speeding well above the limit and ran a red light. There were no injuries, thankfully, but the risk he created was significant. The officer's statement was straightforward, professional, no exaggeration. But what stood out to me most wasn't just the violation. It was the pattern of behavior. Here was someone who ignored traffic laws, then came into the courthouse and disrespected the very people trying to help him navigate the consequences. I had to ask myself, what lesson does this person need right now? Because my responsibility as a judge isn't just to impose fines, it's to guide people, to help them understand the impact of their actions. And in this case, the disrespect toward my clerk weighed heavily on my mind, not because it offended me personally, but because it revealed a lack of appreciation for others, and that's something I take seriously. By the time this case came to my courtroom, I had already heard that the interaction at the clerk's window had spread among courthouse staff. People were talking about it, not because it was shocking, but because it was unnecessary. Now, I've had many cases go viral over the years. People share courtroom moments, clips circulate online, and suddenly millions of people are watching what happens inside these walls. But let me tell you something, whether 8 people see a case or 8 million, it doesn't change how I do my job. In my courtroom, every person gets the same fair process. I don't perform for the camera. I don't seek attention. I focus on the person standing in front of me and what justice requires in that moment. And in this case, I knew the real work would begin when that young man walked through my courtroom doors. When he walked into my courtroom, I observed him carefully, as I always do. Well-dressed, confident, maybe a little too confident. He approached the podium, and I could see it immediately, the same attitude I had read about in the clerk's note. I looked at him and said calmly, "Good morning, sir." He nodded slightly. "Morning." No warmth, no acknowledgement beyond that. I glanced down at the file, then back at him. "Sir, you're here today for a traffic violation, speeding and running a red light. Is that correct?" "Yeah," he said casually. "But honestly, it's being blown out of proportion." I paused. "I've been doing this a long time," I said. "And I've learned that when someone says something is nothing, it's usually something worth looking at more closely." He shrugged. "I mean, everyone speeds." I leaned forward slightly. "Not everyone runs red lights," I said. There was a brief silence. Then I continued. "But before we go any further, there's something else I need to address." I picked up the note from my clerk. "Sir, I received a report about your interaction with one of my court clerks. Do you recall speaking with her?" He shifted slightly. "Yeah, I talked to someone." "I'm told," I said carefully, "that you referred to her as useless and said anyone could do her job better." He smirked, actually smirked. "I mean, I was frustrated," he said. "It's not a big deal." I took a breath. "Let me tell you something," I said, my voice steady. "It is a big deal." The courtroom grew quiet. "These clerks work hard every single day," I continued. "They help people understand the process, they treat everyone with respect, and they keep this system functioning." He looked away. I went on. "And when you stand there and insult someone who's doing their job, that tells me something about your character." He sighed. I said I was frustrated. I nodded slowly. "I understand frustration," I said, "but frustration doesn't give you the right to disrespect another human being." I paused, letting that sink in. Then I added, "In my courtroom, respect is not optional." I could see his posture change slightly. The confidence wasn't gone, but it was shaken. I turned back to the case. "Now, regarding your driving," I said, "the report shows you were traveling significantly above the speed limit and ran a red light. Do you dispute that?" He hesitated. "I mean, I was in a hurry." I looked at him. "In a hurry to do what?" He didn't answer. I shook my head gently. "Sir, I've seen too many cases where someone was in a hurry and someone else paid the price." The room was silent. Then I said, "You're fortunate no one was hurt." I paused again. "But that doesn't make it acceptable. I've been on this bench long enough to know that punishment alone doesn't change people. Understanding does." I looked at him and said, "Sir, I want you to understand something. I've been a judge for 40 years. I've seen thousands of people come through this courtroom. Some make mistakes. Some learn from them. Some don't." I paused. "But what concerns me about you isn't just the driving. It's the attitude." He looked down. "You disrespected someone who was trying to help you," I continued. "And then you came in here and minimized your actions." I leaned forward slightly. "That's not how responsible adults behave." Then I said clearly, "Here's what I'm going to do. I am imposing a fine for the traffic violation. That's standard." I paused. "But I'm also ordering you to do something else." He looked up, surprised. "I want you to write a letter of apology to that clerk." He blinked. "A letter?" "Yes," I said. "A sincere one. Not 2 sentences. I want you to think about what you said and why it was wrong." I continued, "Because respect isn't something you turn on and off. It's something you carry with you in every interaction." I paused again. "And I want you to understand this. Your actions have consequences, not just on the road, but in how you treat people." After I delivered the sentence, the courtroom remained quiet for a moment. He nodded slowly. "Okay," he said, not defiant anymore, not dismissive, just quieter. And sometimes that's the moment I look for, not fear, but understanding. After the session, my clerk told me he did submit the letter. And she said something that meant a lot to me. She said it felt genuine. That told me something changed, even if just a little. And that's why I do what I do, not for punishment, but for moments like that, when someone begins to see things differently. Let me tell you what I hope people learn from this case. Respect matters, not just in big moments, but in the small ones. The way you speak to a clerk, the way you treat a stranger, the way you carry yourself when no one's watching. Social media may reward arrogance and quick reactions, but real life doesn't work that way. In the real world, your actions define you. And in my courtroom, I don't care who you are or where you come from. What matters is how you treat people. Because at the end of the day, justice isn't just about laws, it's about humanity. And after 40 years on this bench, that's what I still believe.